And hopefully all the moms got all the love they needed yesterday, with it being Mother's Day. But today, hey, we got a packed one. We got to talk, about a couple different teams. And then at the end, hey, we got some cool, somewhat cool news. It depends on who you are, if you like that stuff or not. But also, I do have my merchandise store somewhat ready to rock and roll, but I kind of ran into some problems when I was trying to add my products to it. And so I was told you try different browsers. So yesterday, actually, I worked from about noon till about like 8 o'clock on it. It's about 8 hours, and it just was a lot of work. But hey, within the next couple days here, I hope to have that guys ready for you guys, so you guys can go and get your fix. And there's a lot of cool stuff on there, like blankets, towels, shorts, joggers, t-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, cups, like literally anything you can really think of is on there or will be going on there. So that's gonna be awesome. But yeah, hey, with that being said, are you ready to get your fix? Well, today we're gonna kind of start off with the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, really haven't talked too much about these guys since we started last, or 2 Thursdays ago, or now it would be about a week and a couple days ago, about a week and a half. So the Colts, the reason I kind of want to bring the Colts up is because this morning, actually, when I woke up, it was brought to my attention, actually from Twitter, that they have signed former Chiefs left tackle and former number 1 overall pick left tackle Eric Fisher to a 1-year deal, which is worth about $9.4 million. Now, this is huge, an absolute huge signing for the Indianapolis Colts, as we're starting to kind of see them go back to where they were when they had Andrew Luck. Last year they did just fine, second in their division. They finished 11-5, okay, in the AFC South, right behind the Tennessee Titans, who I believe finished the exact same record, but just, it happened to play out that way. But this is going to help the Colts a lot because they are on that upward slope, ready to make teams, kind of look past them, even though they're really, really solid. Now, with Eric Fisher coming, that's going to help tremendously on that line, and hopefully, be able to protect their quarterback. And, last year they had Phillip Rivers. Okay, he did all right, not the greatest by any means, but I think we all knew, how Phillip was going to perform, being that it was his last year. He did retire this offseason. Again, thank you, Phillip Rivers, for doing that, or not for retiring, but for playing football. That's what I'm kind of meaning. But at the same time, Phillip Rivers, he's been, Phillip Rivers, plain and simple. He's just not going to. He's going to get some things done here and there, but he's not going to lead you guys to the promised land. And I think last year that's what the Colts wanted to do, was let's get a guy in here who knows how to play, and hopefully he gives us a chance, to go to the Super Bowl. And if not, hey, well, at least we got one, next year, which is this year, to get another guy. Okay? And also last year, another reason that they didn't do so as good as we wanted, or as good as we wanted, was because they lacked production at that wide receiver position. Okay, and it really felt like you were kind of hearing their tight ends names more and their running backs more, like Nyheim Hines. He's not on the team this year, but last year he was, and you got Jonathan Taylor, who was doing pretty solid. And then I really can't remember his name off the top of my head for the tight end, but they have some really they had some really big problems at the wide receiver position. Now, for this season going in, they needed to change some things. Okay, obviously with Phillip Rivers retiring, they needed a quarterback. Well, in the offseason, they traded the 2021 third-round draft pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? And they get Carson Wentz in return. Now, this is great. Last year, we seen the Eagles draft Jalen Hurts and bench Carson Wentz because he wasn't performing that well, had a lot of interceptions, and Jalen Hurts stepped up nicely. Not as good as we, probably assumed he would, or at least I thought he was going to perform about what he did, and that's all right. And so they had to get him out of there, and they did. They shipped him out, they got him to the Colts, and that freed up a lot of cap space for him. But here, the Colts going out and getting him, this is a great, like, really, really good move, okay? He did, so their head coach is Frank Reich, and he did have Frank Reich as a quarterback coach in Philly. Now, when they were together, okay, remember, this is when he put up an MVP-type season. I think I talked about a little bit about this last week. I can't remember what day exactly, but I remember talking about it. But to have an MVP-type season with the head coach that was once your quarterback coach, that's a big thing. Excuse me. And now, I understand, last year and, like, after Frank Reich kind of left that, organization, it was trouble for Carson Wentz in Philly, okay? And I understand he threw a lot, and I mean a lot of interceptions and wasn't going in the right directions. And, there was that time where he took a lot of time off and contemplated retirement or something. That's what the story was. I don't really think he did. I think he just wanted to kind of get away, take a breather, and that was awesome. And then, last year with all the interceptions with Jalen Hurts coming in, that probably threw him off a little bit. There wasn't, it felt like Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz were butting heads consistently and constantly there last year. So there was obviously some issues there. And he needed to go out and go to a fresh start. And that's what the Colts are. Okay, this is a fresh start. This is a young team that's looking to, turn some heads this year. And I mean, last year at 11-5, they really couldn't do too much better this year. I think they're going to stay at that similar record era. This should pan out just fine, giving them, Carson Wentz, and being that it's a fresh start. Okay, that head coach is going to be so crucial, I hope, in Carson Wentz's developmental process in Indianapolis. Now, he's not going to probably be a Peyton Manning. He's probably a long way from that, but very, very good signing and smart signing by the Colts. They were unsure who they were going to go for in the draft. They really didn't know if that guy or a quarterback was going to be available when they had a pick, and they ended up actually taking Sam Ehlinger from Texas, University of Texas, who did all right. But that's a solid backup, solid third string kind of guy. But other than going and get Carson Wentz, okay, they went. And the offseason was kind of all right. They lost D-tackle D'Amico Autry and Jacoby Brissett. Not too big of pieces on that team, or how do you want to say it? Prominent pieces on that team. But however, they were able to keep a lot of key pieces. Okay, they re-signed running back Marlon Mack to a one-year deal, about $2 million. So who knows where his future is headed? But right now, it's going to be with the Colts and Jonathan Taylor in that backfield. And that'll be really, really good for the Colts, as he already knows, the playbook. He's just been hurt the past couple of years. But then they go out and they re-sign wide receiver T.Y. Hilton to a one-year deal. Okay, that was about $10 million. I did not think he was really going to end up back here unless other numbers around the league that he would have gotten and were getting was going to be small. And that actually happened. Apparently, he came out and he almost left. And he would have went to the Ravens, apparently. I guess that's what he said. I'm not really going to trust that 100% just because, the NFL rules, he doesn't want to go against those. But at the same time, hey, he was going to leave if the Colts were going to pay enough money. And they actually forked up enough, $10 million, with $8 million of that guaranteed for 1 year. So this is another chance for T.Y. to show what he's worth because, he hasn't really played at that same level since Andrew Luck has been there. I think we've all seen that. His production has gone down. I mean, with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, I understand. And then last year with Phillip Rivers, I kind of understand with, how Phillip had to go into a new organization and figure out a lot of things, even though he is a 17, 18-year-old vet. So, but at the same time, with bringing in Carson Wentz, adding Carson Wentz to his old quarterback coach from Philly and Frank Reich, this should be a big turnaround year for T.Y. Hilton. I honestly think this is going to be a big stepping stone for where he's going to find out if he's going to get that next contract next year, whether it's 3 or 4 years, okay, or 5. But I think this is going to be a really big turnaround year for T.Y. Hilton. I'm not sure how big, but he's going to score a little bit, and he's going to be a lot more involved in that offense. Now, alongside those two, they did go and get some really, really solid young players, okay? And now, last year in the draft, they go get running back Jonathan Taylor. We talked about him a little bit. I do think he's going to end up being the starter, just with how he ended the season and how well him and Nyheim Hines were able to, consistently go in and out and switch with each other all the time. And I think that's going to be the same case with Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor might start with Marlon Mack coming in here and there, so it keeps Marlon Mack hopefully off that injury list, because that dude when healthy is absolutely awesome. And I just really can't wait for him to come back on that field and see what just a force of nature he actually can be. Now also their wide receiver group is very stacked. Okay, they got Paris Campbell. Okay, he's been injured. Really not much to go on him besides he's played 7 games in 2019. He only played 2 last year. He has 198 total receiving yards and then he has about 22 yards per game, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble loss. So we really can't, judge him too much. Just based off of 9 games, that's not enough to see what a guy's got going, especially when he's always hurt. So hopefully this year's a big stepping stone for him as well. Hopefully he can learn from T.Y. and just come back and not really be a center stone, but be a consistent piece. Somebody that Carson can go to if, say T.Y. Hilton or, there it is, Mo Alley Cox, the tight end. That's what I was thinking of. I'm not 100% sure. I think he was there last year. I'm not sure if he's there this year. But still, I think Paris Campbell should be able to make that third-year jump, especially, I hope he's hungry, being injured and not being able to play that much. Now, they also, last year, they go get Michael Pittman Jr. Everybody thought, this was a really good pick for the Colts. Okay, but now, last year, we seen him go in there. He didn't get some starts and didn't play that much. He did play, and when he did all right. I can't remember right off the top of my head of how many games. I think it was like 7 he ended up, or like 6 he ended up starting, something like that. But really, why I bring him up is hoping that he makes this big leap in year 2, which he will. Year 1's always a rough patch for rookies. It depends on who you are, really, I guess, unless you're like a Justin Herbert, or Justin Jefferson. But Michael Pittman Jr., he's very tall, lengthy, really, he's a go-get-him kind of wide receiver, and I think this is going to be a big jump, and I'm hoping it's going to be a big jump for him this year. Okay, then they got a couple guys I'm not really sure, like Ashton Dulin and DeMichael Harris. But then you talk about one guy, Zach Pascal. The one thing I really, really like about Zach Pascal, and he has played, I want to say 2 years or 3 years. His first year, really didn't play much. But 2 years ago in 2019, okay, the guy had 607 yards, 5 touchdowns. And then you go last year, okay, 629 yards and 5 touchdowns again. Super, super consistent. A very good 3-2 wide receiver for these guys. I do think it's going to be T.Y., Michael Pittman, and Zach Pascal are going to be your main guys. And you're going to see Paris Campbell come in there every once in a while. But for right now, that's a decent enough wide receiver group, especially with Carson Wentz. These guys are all young. They got a new head coach in Frank Reich. I think he was there last year and the year before. But still, he's newer around there. And they're going to be able to, I think, have build enough chemistry, being how young they are, and how much more capable of it. Can't think right now of adapting. Okay, but anyways, off their offense, we're gonna go look at their defense. They have a super solid defense, and they're very, very scary. Okay, Justin Houston. Okay, he's been in the NFL the longest on their defense at 11 years. Okay, then you got DeForest Buckner. They pulled him away somehow from the 49ers. Obviously, they would probably eventually had to get rid of Buckner because of money-wise. But Buckner's been here now for 2 or 3 years. And then they went and drafted 2 studs who's most likely going to start a decent amount or play a decent amount. And that's Kwity Paye, who was the first pick for him in the draft, and then Dayo Odenigbo. Now, they're both very, very solid people. I think we talked about them a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. But those guys should be able to come in right away and make a difference for that defense, even though they really don't need too much because, 11-5. They only lost 5 games. And I really don't think it was too much of that defense's fault. So, and then they have a solid secondary. Okay, you got Rock Ya-Sin, Xavier Rhodes, Julian Blackmon, and I do believe they did lose Malik Hooker, but that's all right. Hey, you win some, you lose some. What do you do? But this team, from top to bottom, is set up very nice. Okay, 11-5 last year is going to look like 12-5 this year. Okay, or like a 13-4 this year. It's going to be one of those. It's not going to be. We're not going to see this team take a dump. Okay, and if they do, it's probably because Carson Wentz just can't stop throwing interceptions. And by that time, I hope they figure out to change it a little quicker, and hopefully they have the right guy behind them to step in nice. But I think for right now, Carson Wentz should be good enough and should be able to lead this team into the playoffs. I'm not sure how far into the playoffs, but I think, this is the Titans division, at least for this point. Texans they're long gone. I think Texans might get last this year. And if not, it's going to be a close one with the Jaguars because Deshaun Watson's the only guy they got over there. So otherwise, hey, Colts hopefully going to have a good year. Like I said, 11-5, they'll probably be 12-5 or 13-4 or maybe 11-6, somewhere around there. That's what I'm kind of thinking they're going to be right around that ballpark. Just a little bit, just because they only had that first pick in round 1, and let's kind of go over it, being that I'm from Minnesota. I got a lot of Vikings jersey, I believe. I don't have one more. But, hey, last year, pretty rough season. All right, I think we all can agree and attest to that it was not the greatest. 7-9, missing the playoffs, missing the playoffs, barely, if that. And it really just didn't look all that solid. But here's the thing: I think we all kind of knew, at least I did right from the go, that it's probably not going to be a solid year. Okay, a lot of us should have known that, and that the big reason was because of their defensive inexperience. Okay, they got rid of some absolutely stellar guys, or I guess not stellar guys, but some decent guys. Our whole secondary was torn apart. 2 years ago, they go get rid of Xavier Rhodes. They go get rid of, they can't sign Anthony Harris this year, so he's gone. And then you pretty much I knew there was a couple good guys last year in the draft, and I talked about it. I wasn't really sold on who we got right away, but hey, they hopefully got some young guys that are all right. And Jeff Gladney, Harrison Hand, and Cam Dantzler. Now, Jeff Gladney and Harrison Hand and Cam Dantzler, they had an issue last year. As much as they performed decent, their biggest issue was that they'd be right there every once in a while, and then all of a sudden, bam, they let up a big play. And it was never a medium play that they let up. It was always at least the ones that you probably noticed the most was the big ones. And that is something that they can clean up, obviously, with Mike Zimmer being a former defensive backs coach when he was with the Dallas Cowboys and I think Cincinnati Bengals, and then he went to be the head coach for them. But they should be able to make that leap. These guys are young. They're still talented. Now they just got to make sure they don't, get burned once every game. Because I guarantee you, if you go back and look, one of them, if not all of them, got burned at least one time every game. And we can't have that as a Minnesota Viking. So, but, they'll clean that up, okay? And for the first time, actually, in my lifetime, at least I feel like my lifetime, the Vikings actually kind of went and did something in free agency. Even though they really haven't needed anything other than offensive linemen. Hey, first of all, this offseason, okay, they go and they sign Anthony Barr. Okay, they get him re-signed after losing Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson, I wish he would have stayed a Viking. Man was awesome. I thought he's definitely on the come up and on the rise of being one of the better linebackers in the NFL, and I think he's only going to continue to do so. He's going to help Philly out tremendously. Probably not a whole lot, but at least make that defense a little bit more sound than they have been in the past. Now, after signing Anthony Barr, or re-signing, or what is it called, revising his contract, they go out and they sign D-tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. Okay, now if you remember 2 years ago, the Vikings also did a similar move with signing D-tackle Michael Pierce from the Ravens. Now, he didn't play last year because you had the option to opt out for the season, which he did. And honestly, I hope that helped him. And, he was able to stay healthy for a whole year, able to practice and just get ready for this upcoming season. And now with those two, Dalvin and Michael Pierce, this is going to be a really, really good, defensive line. And they're going to have a lot of depth there, okay? And then after they sign that guy, okay, then bam, they go sign one of the top or one of the best defensive backs to ever probably play the game / position, Patrick Peterson. I'm absolutely stoked about this. I know he really isn't, we're really unsure of what he's going to do just because he's so old, not really old, but he's old for the NFL type of a player. But he's been super consistent. He's able to get it done. He's had less interceptions throughout the years, but he flies the ball. He's super smart. He knows how to get that, get the job done on defense. And that's also another reason I think our defensive backs, those young guys like Jeff Gladney and Cam Dantzler, are going to be just fine, okay? Because you go and you bring in a veteran for a long, long time who's been to a Super Bowl and seen a lot of things. You bring him in, they're going to be able to learn super, super easy. And I don't know how easy it's going to be. It's probably going to be a little easy for Patrick Peterson to get used to our playbook. I mean, Zimmer is a quarterback or cornerback-minded coach, so this will help a lot. Now, this adds to that veteran leadership of our secondary, or of the Minnesota Vikings secondary, which we don't have much of, okay? We only have about Harrison Smith, and now, I guess Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks is one, and now Patrick Peterson. Now, Patrick Peterson hasn't been a Viking ever. He's been a Cardinal his whole career, but this is going to be very, very helpful in the long run. Okay, he's probably only going to play this season. I don't see him going anywhere else after that. He'll probably, after this year, sign a one-day contract with the Cardinals and retire a Cardinal. But for now, this is a very, very big move. And I'm pretty sure he was the first guy that I seen switch his number. Where he was number 21 last year. I don't think he has to buy out his inventory, being that he was in the Arizona Cardinals, and so he got changed. So he is number 7 this year, which is awesome. It's going to be different because you're really not going to know who he is for a second or two, but at the same time, I think he's going to stick out like a sore thumb because the last time we had a number 7, I'm pretty sure it was Christian Ponder. So with that being said, awesome move by the Minnesota Vikings. And then, bam, again, they signed another top defensive back in Xavier Woods. Okay, played for the Cowboys. Did very, very well there. He's a young guy. He goes out there and gets it done. He's probably mainly going to play free safety with Harrison Smith back there. So he's replacing what Anthony Harris did. He's now over with the Philadelphia Eagles. But hey, Xavier Woods, one thing that I remember him for last year was he was a guy that spoke out right away a couple times on how the Cowboys were playing and their type of play type. And a lot of people said they were going 75% and all that, or he said that they were going 75% because they're really not sure what to do. And then they all kind of ripped him, and he came out and he said, how do you guys expect us to go anymore? Or I guess, something like that when we don't have a leader pretty much. And I don't think Mike really took over that. Mike McCarthy didn't really take over that leadership role as a head coach that he should have. And I think that's probably why things for him fell apart in Green Bay. But I'm not sure. I have no idea. I've never met the guy. But he did speak out about how they were playing and their play style. And he clearly wanted out of there. At the end of the year, he's frustrated. Cowboys haven't been in the playoffs since God knows when, let alone the NFC Championship game. And really, their franchise is one that's just an entertainment business. That's what it seems like. Okay, they may be America's team, but it's more like America's entertainment team because if you think about it, they're always in the news. Okay, always. They're like, oh, Cowboys are really good. This, that, all this. They really haven't done much. You know what I mean? Like, they're just there to give you a sideshow to kind of see if they're going to be good, and then you can kind of go back to your own team. That's kind of how I look at them. They're just like a TV show to watch. That's all it is, really. Now, if they start winning, start getting the NFC Championship game, go to the Super Bowl, then awesome. That's what they need to do. Then they're changing their franchise around. But for the past how many years, it hasn't been done. I want to say, I know it's over 20, I think. But, hey, whatever. It happens. He clearly wanted out of there. Now, like I said, Xavier Woods coming helps for the fact that Anthony Harris couldn't re-sign with the Vikings, which I was really sad about, but at the same time, hey, it's a business. What happens? Anthony Harris played phenomenal for us. He's going to be a top safety for a long time in this league. Okay, just flies the ball, plays with the motor, and you can really tell pretty much his play style is exactly like Harrison Smith. Not so much of probably a dog as Harrison Smith. He still has that dog in him, but Harrison Smith is just a freak. Last year we've seen him get ejected a couple times for helmet-to-helmet hits, but a couple of those I didn't think were too on purpose, so to say, but at the same time, whatever. It is what it is. But with Anthony Harris leaves, that left a hole, but bringing Xavier Woods in, that seals that hole back up and gives the Vikings a little bit of hope. Okay, that defense is now, I think, back to where it needs to be and should have been previous to last year. But I think they're headed in the right direction. Now, going into this season, the Minnesota Vikings, okay, they're really just building around last year, what I'm saying is improving, okay? And that's kind of what we're talking about. Like I said, that defense improved a lot where it should be right now, okay? But now they go in and they have a great draft, okay? I want to say it was at least an A or a B plus in some eyes, okay? But they go get offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw. We talked about him. We talked about Kellen Mond, who they drafted. I think he's going to have a great career, hopefully in Minnesota, as soon as Kirk Cousins leaves. And there was, with all those rumors going out of, is Kirk Cousins out, is blah, blah, blah. But, Rick Spielman did come out and said Kirk Cousins and his agents are aware that he is a starting quarterback going forward at this point. So his job is not in jeopardy at this point in the moment in time. Now they go get, linebacker Chad Surratt, talked about him, Wyatt Davis, who's a center, and, another defensive end, Patrick Jones. Okay, all we're doing really is building around the squad, and hopefully, we can make it back at least to the playoffs, and then from there take it one step at a time, because I just want to witness something like that Minneapolis Miracle again, just one more time in my life, I swear. But if you do that, please just go to the Super Bowl and don't give me that heartbreak after and lay an egg like he did and just fucking absolutely blow it. Score super easy against the Eagles, and then all of a sudden you're just 35-7 or something like that. It was a bad day to be a Viking, and just a shit show. And hey, typical Vikings, typical Minnesota, that's what you live for here. You live to get there, but not to go there. And that's just how our football's been, and our sports haven't really been or seen to a championship in a while. But hopefully that changes with the Wild. The Wild are fucking just tearing some stuff up. I love Kaprizov. They're doing awesome. And hopefully, Las Vegas Knights, they are probably our biggest competitor or opponent probably that we're going to have to go up against. But, hey, I think we're 5-0 in the last meetings or something like that, or 6-0, something crazy. Can't really remember off the top of my head, but might be wrong. But at the same time, hey, we're going to go and we're going to hit him in the mouth, and we're going to go get that Stanley Cup, no doubt in my mind. Hopefully. Knock on wood over here. But let's go get it, Minnesota Wild. Now, back to the Vikings. This should be a whole different season. Like I said, they're building, improving. Playoff bound, maybe. For sure, I think they're going to get at least second in their division. It depends a lot on, how Jared Goff performs with the Lions and how Justin Fields transitions from college to the NFL with the Bears. So enough with the Colts and the Vikings. We're going to go talk about the team and the guy that everyone's kind of been talking about for a while. Not Patrick Mahomes, but number 8 over there, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, for the most part, I think we've seen their offense is kind of really stagnant, okay? They're not going anywhere, okay? Not just their offense, their entire team. They're really not getting super good. Now, Lamar Jackson, okay? Very, very good. MVP season, could have done it last year, and looking to do it again. This guy is an absolute freak of nature, okay? Can run the ball, can pass the ball. But that's the thing. That's where he struggled. Last year was a really, really bad game, or was a really bad year for the passing attack. Okay, they've only really had running games the past 2 seasons, and they wanted to kind of address that going forward. Obviously, you need to get that passing game going, because I believe Lamar really didn't do so hot about just under 2,000 or just barely over 2,000 passing yards. I don't know. We'll probably get to that in a little bit. But so they go in the offseason and they get some key pieces for Lamar Jackson. Now, one of them, in the very first one, I'm pretty sure, was wide receiver Sammy Watkins, and they signed him to a 1-year deal, and that was $6 million. Now, this helps a lot. The dude's been to a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to get there. And, obviously, this gives Lamar Jackson another weapon to throw to. They really don't have too much over there besides Marquise Hollywood Brown, and they did have Dez Bryant for the end of the year, but he did play. Sucks for him, but I think his career's pretty much over. And then they had Mark Andrews at the tight end position, but they weren't getting the job done. So Sammy Watkins is going to come in here and be a stud. Okay, and then they go and draft wide receiver Rashad Bateman from the University of Minnesota. Did not think he was going as high as he was going to go. Did think he was going to slip to round 2 and round 1 with a 27th pick. So, awesome. Okay, and I did go look at the film to see kind of what the Ravens are dealing with here. I know I did watch a lot of Gopher games last year and the year before, but just kind of wanted to refresh my mind. And really didn't take me long to know that this guy is absolutely awesome. He goes up, a lot of the receivers I've talked about, he goes up to get the ball, okay? He's very, very aggressive. It doesn't matter how much space you have between the hands or whatever. For defenders, as long as that quarterback can put the ball there, he's going to 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10 come away with that catch and maybe a touchdown more, okay? Now, another thing is he has very, very good concentration. Now, another thing as well, he's quick enough to get past defenders. Now, with that concentration, he's able to see upfield. As soon as he catches the ball, he knows where to go and picks his route before he's really doing. And that's a thing that a lot of receivers and a lot of young receivers aren't so good at, okay? they catch the ball, they get excited, and they kind of freeze up. They don't know where to go. But I think Rashad Bateman coming in the NFL, he's NFL ready, and he has been for about a year and a half now. Okay, we've seen him in Minnesota, at least I did, and he was a freak. Tyler Johnson, when he left last year, it was Rashad Bateman's year. We were really unsure if Rashad was going to play. He came and he decided to play, and then at the end of the year, he realized we weren't going to do much, so he opted out at the final 2 games, which, hey, to each his own, go train, do what you got to do, and he did, obviously, that, and was drafted really high. Okay, and there's a reason for that. This guy's, like I said, very, very aggressive, very quick. He can blow past people, make people miss. But his release, that's one thing I want to see improve. He doesn't really have a stutter step. He doesn't really have something that's going to trick the defensive back into thinking it's a run or it's a different kind of route. And that's one thing, obviously, that will come, with being in the NFL, and hopefully he has the right wide receiver coaches to teach him that. He does have Hollywood Brown to, learn from a little bit. Granted, Hollywood Brown is probably, who knows, about, as of right now, he's better, obviously, because he's been in the NFL, but probably about the same expectations as Rashad Bateman, I'd assume. And plus, Rashad Bateman is the taller guy. He's probably going to be a 2 receiver, but they might move him out to that one position, but he won't be 1 on the depth chart, if you kind of get what I'm saying. I think Hollywood Brown will be that slot receiver. And they did lose Willie Snead, I'm pretty sure. So this is a very good draft. Okay, then they go get a guard, Ben Cleveland. Don't know much about him. He was a 3rd-round pick, but I do know for the most part he is solid. This adds depth to the offensive line for the Ravens. He might even start. Who knows? Don't know much about line. Okay, but after Rashad Bateman, they go get another receiver. Now this guy blew me away, and he stands at 6 feet, 185 pounds. Tylan Wallace. Okay, he went to Oklahoma State. He was drafted in the 4th round. Very, very strong, and he doesn't look like it. Go watch the highlight. He does not look that strong. Okay, he looks like a little bit lengthier, but the dude right from the get-go, and I'm not kidding, catches the ball, lays some guy on his ass, and then the next one he takes and he stiffs arms, so he falls, and he goes down. I can't remember if it was a touchdown right away, but I know it was pretty close. And he's not that, it doesn't seem like he's that big. Okay, 6 foot, obviously, 185 pounds, that looks big. But it doesn't on film. It's weird. But he's very, very strong. And he's not afraid of anybody. Like I said, that guy that he laid out right away, I'm pretty sure was a linebacker, and just flat out pancaked him. So he's very, very good. Okay, and then another thing, his concentration, just like Rashad Bateman's, is very, very good. I would take this guy 1v1 all day. I did say Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would go 1v1 or even 1v2 all day. But I think Tylan Wallace kind of puts up, run for his money, because this guy is absolutely incredible. It doesn't matter who you are against him. You could be the best quarterback in the world, and he's still going to do whatever it takes to try to come down with that ball. And he's very strong. If he has to take a hit, he's going to take a hit. Okay? Very, very surprised after watching the highlights and the films. Now, granted, is a crucial piece of their offense, right from the get-go. And I think this is going to help Lamar Jackson, open that pass attack up a little bit. Okay, and then on top of those drafts, they go sign offensive tackle Alejandro Villanueva, also an Army veteran. Kudos to him. And they signed him to a 2-year deal. So I still believe that this run game is going to be, obviously their go-to with Lamar Jackson being able to run for 1,000+ yards damn near every goddamn year. But that's going to be their go-to. But I think that passing attack is going to be a lot better. Obviously, we just talked about it. Okay, they signed a former Super Bowl champion in Sammy Watkins, and he knows what it takes. We mentioned that earlier. And obviously, Lamar Jackson is looking to be more productive in that passing attack. Okay, 2019, 66.1% completion with 3,127 yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 picks, 113.6 quarterback rating. Pretty good year, I'd say. Not the greatest by any means, but it's a pretty good year. Then last year, 64.4% completion, 2,700 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Had a 99.3 quarterback rating. All right, okay, he did all right, but you can tell he decreased. Nobody really to throw to. And I'm not 100% sure how many people they let go last offseason, but at the same time, I think a lot of those stats are going to increase. I think he's going to be back in that 3,000-yard passing range, probably 3,000 to 3,500, probably from 25 to 30 touchdowns. And I think we're going to see the interceptions stand kind of right where they have been, 6 and 9. I think it's going to be right between there, probably 6 and 10, no more, no less. Lamar's been very smart with the ball, especially since he can use his feet to his advantage, and since he can, really utilize them to the best of his ability, a lot better than a lot of other people around the league. Now, defensively, like I said, this team is just fine. Okay, they have Calais Campbell, Patrick Queen, Pernell McPhee, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey. I mean, you can just keep saying their names. These guys are ready to make that next step. Now, here's one thing that I'm a little skeptical about. They are in a very, very tough division. At least not very, very tough, but it's tough. You got the Steelers. They're always consistently up there. They're always going to have a winning season. This year might be different. Who knows? They went 11-0 to start last year, and then kind of shit the bed after that. But then you look at the Browns. The past couple years, last, 3 years, they've made nothing but stellar moves, and it's starting to pan out. And it's going to be dangerous in the next, probably either this year or next year. It's going to be ridiculous. I promise. The Browns are going to be very good, okay? And the Bengals, they're looking to make a come up a little bit. But overall, that organization has a lot to do and a lot to go through before they can get anywhere. I don't think a jersey change is really going to help them any, or, not help them any. It's just a new brand, or just a new look, if you will. It's not going to help them. But, hey, the Ravens are going to get it done. They're probably going to be another playoff team for the third year in a row with Lamar Jackson. So expect them to have a good year. But for right now, that's kind of what their team's looking like. They're looking strong. They're looking solid. They're looking playoff ready. They're looking, just trust the Ravens, and they'll be fine, I promise. So enough about the NFL teams. Let's talk about an NFL guy, okay? DK Metcalf. You probably have already heard what I'm going to talk about. But this guy, he went and decided to kind of go out of his comfort zone a little bit, and he tried out for the Olympics. Now, this race that you guys all seen, it was the race to kind of qualify for the Olympic trials. Okay, so it was right before the Olympic trials, so you have to pass this one, then the Olympic trials, and then you go to the Olympics. Okay? But this guy ran a 10.37 second time in the 100-meter dash. Okay, he finished last out of 9, so that's, whatever, but he did finish 15 out of 17. Okay, Cravon Gillespie or whatever, Gillespie. He plays first, and his time was 9 seconds and 9.99 or 96 seconds. So I mean, not too far off. Obviously, just a little bit quicker. Now, if you watch the photo finish, obviously it's a little bit bigger, a little quicker, but not too far off. Okay, this dude is a monster. You gotta understand that he's going up. He's able to keep up with some of the fastest athletes in the world. Okay, these guys have been doing this since they were born, just like DK's been doing football since he's been born. This is what these guys do. They go out there and, they run for a living. And he's like, hell, I'll step in there. Give me a shot. I promise. I could probably do it. Who cares? He's 6'4", 235 pounds, running a 10.36 second time. So, I mean, just absolutely freakish, if you ask me. This guy's huge. He literally towered over everybody, looked bigger than everybody, and still was able to put up a pretty decent time. Okay, especially since he's not even in that sport. Now, a big reason that he would want to do this, at least I'd think, was probably because of that game where he chased down Budda Baker when he played the Cardinals. Okay, he literally came out of nowhere. He flew down, caught him out of nowhere. I thought Budda was gone, and all of a sudden, he got him. So there's a big, reason he should have done that. And when he was doing that, he was actually going about 22.6 miles an hour. Okay, that was according to Next Gen Stats. So it just makes you think how fast this guy is. Okay. I don't know what it is. Can't really talk today, but I really don't care. Really do not give a fuck. Had a really good day. Did my thing. Had to go out and about and do all that. But it is what it is. We're here. We're talking. We're live. You guys probably with me or not. But, really, really glad that DK Metcalf stepped out of his comfort zone. Really, really glad. And I don't really know if it's out of his comfort zone to say. Because, he tried something else. that nobody really would have done. And we haven't really seen these NFL athletes do this before. They probably have under the radar, but he was the first one to actually go out there and show that you can be one sport athlete, but do something else. As long as you put your mind to it, you can really do anything, and that's the main thing about. So I'm really, really happy for him to go out there, do it, go out of his, step out of his comfort zone and do something and get that job done. Because now he's trending. Everybody's like, wow, this dude can move, and be that big and move that fast. I would hate to have to tackle that guy. Like, oh my goodness, would not want to tackle him at all. So, with that being said, just watch out for DK Metcalf, because this season is going to be an interesting one. Because if he can run that quick, that means he's been preparing and only getting bigger. So this guy's going to come in and he's going to be a force of nature. I don't think he's going to slow down by any means, and he's going to be that number one receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. Now I hope Russell Wilson can get the job done there and not, all of a sudden start the season off with all the MVP talks about him, and then all of a sudden we'll cut that off right there. I don't want to be the MVP, and then go kind of lay an egg, and you watch Aaron Rodgers just trickle past you like it was nothing happened. But just watch out, like be mentally prepared to watch DK Metcalf do something phenomenal next year. I mean, Calvin Johnson type build right here, moving that quick. Probably going to have to double team him if he's figured out his footwork and figured out how to do stuff. Dude's I don't even know what else to say. You guys know. You guys know who DK Metcalf is and what he's capable of. So just be prepared. Now, that was kind of some cool news, but here's even the better news. Talked about this last week. Jaguars. Guess what? They plan to sign Tim Tebow. You guys have all probably heard this, per Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. But they plan to sign him to a 1-year deal. Now, it could be official as early as next week. Not 100% sure. Probably has to pass physical and all that stuff. But, hey, they're going to use him at the tight end position. So not 100% sure really about this, even what to think about this, because you don't really know what you're going to get. But if it works, hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. You came back, you did it, you went and played baseball, and then now you're back to football again. But here's the thing. You got to think you're going to be a little rusty. I mean, hell, look at Gronk last year. He didn't play for, it was only 1 year. He didn't play for 1 year. Or 2 years old. Yeah, I think it was nearly 2 years. And still, he looked a little rocky. Granted, he did pick it up towards the end of the year. But 9 years. Dude went and played baseball. It's a whole different workout. It's a whole different game. It's a whole different mindset, mentality, everything. And he's coming back to football as a tight end. He was a quarterback. Probably doesn't have to do too much more other than block. And hopefully he can do that well. Because, he is a big dude, but let's see if he has that aggressiveness in there. And I'm hoping he does. But, hey, however, this is all right, because he was coached by Urban Meyer. We talked about that last week. Okay, he was coached by Urban Meyer when Urban was the head coach in Florida. So this could easily work out. They know, they have the chemistry together. They know what each other thinks about. They know what works best for that guy. And I think Urban Meyer is going to be a perfect mentor for Tim Tebow to bring him into this league and ease him into this league. Now, not going to be a starter, and if he is, wow. But Tyler Eifert, I'm pretty sure, has that job on lock. At least that's what I'd assume. But it's going to be awesome. Okay, it's going to be very interesting because you don't know what to think. You really don't. This guy came in here and won one playoff game with the Denver Broncos, even though he's didn't have a really good career, really bad actually, which was sad because he was one of the top. He is one of the top guys that ever came out of college football. But to come back and be a tight end, hopefully this guy's got a little bit of a dog in him because I'm ready. I'm ready to see it. So, hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens this upcoming season with that because it's going to be very interesting, and hopefully the Jags know how to use him and know when to use him right. So with that being said, that's all we got for you guys today. And once again, like I said earlier, I am going to try and get my merch store up within the next couple days. But all the products are created. That part's done. Took 8 hours doing that out of my day. But, hey, that's all right. That's all for you guys. And now, I also forgot, I will be posting those pictures of my way too early award predictions hopefully tomorrow. So I'll be working on those probably tonight and tomorrow. So we'll see. But I will continue to update you guys on that so we can get you guys your fix and your merch and whatever else. And who knows. But with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Go enjoy the weather outside. It's probably a little windy, but who cares? Just go enjoy it. And with that, you just got your fix with the Wicks. Now, didn't really end that too hot, but hey, guess what? Don't care. So, hey, you go have your guys.